Hey, hello everyone. Thanks for joining and tuning in for another round of No Cabin Fever today. I'll really appreciate all the people joining on this daily basis and tuning in and see what we can tell you about interesting topics in and around the Atlassian ecosystem. So let's jump right in. If you have any questions, just use the Q&A box of the Zoom webinar app, and then I'll happy to answer questions towards the end. Let me start over with the presentation. So yeah, today's topic is standard, premium, and enterprise, navigating the Atlassian native cloud offering. This is me. My name is Daniel. I work for a Berlin-based company called Kreuzwerker. Usually we all sit around either on the customer side or in our beautiful office in Kreuzberg. I'm an Atlassian authorized instructor, certified professional, and been using the Atlassian tools for, I don't know, nearly 20 years already. That's crazy. Right now, my life looks a little bit more like this in the whole Corona craze. I guess basically all our daily lives has been converted to Zoom or Google Hangouts or whatever meetings. I'm not always chatting with the teddy bear, but also our beloved Atlassian user groups around the world, or Atlassian community events as they are now called, have been converted to virtual events, and that was the first Atlassian breakfast that we had in March with quite some numbers of attendees. So let's directly jump into the topic. You might all be aware that there's different deployment options that Atlassian offers for its wide array of applications. So, I mean, if you followed the Atlassian Virtual or Remote Summit that has been on yesterday and the day before, you might be well aware that cloud dominates the Atlassian ecosystem, but there's still, and this holds especially true for all our European and especially German customers, there's still a very large install base of server and data center applications, which means that for the server and data center applications, you can deploy them either yourself or find a partner that hosts them for you. With Atlassian Cloud, all the tools will be provided as a native cloud offering by Atlassian. With yesterday's announcement, we've seen that Atlassian just added one more plan to their native Atlassian Cloud offerings. So there's this free plan for less or up to 10 users. So you can use all the Atlassian tools for free with up to 10 users. Then there's the first cloud offering that Atlassian has launched a couple of years back, which is called Cloud Standard, which is basically the baseline offering for Jira Software, Jira Service Desk, and Confluence Cloud. We've seen a recent addition of so-called Cloud Premium, which added unlimited storage and SLA, premium support, and with the recent acquisition of CodeBarrel, also automation. And also allows security-related features such as IP allow listing and raise the user limit that was previously introduced to keep the overall cloud performance in a sane space. With the announcement of yesterday's Enterprise Cloud, this is an even bolder step for Atlassian to basically support large companies and enterprises in moving to their native cloud offering. The Enterprise Cloud will include all the standard and premium features, but also has an even tighter SLA, allows organization insights. You can basically navigate multiple instances or multiple sites. You can administer them centrally, have central user provisioning. Atlassian added a feature called release tracks. So basically, if you are living in a corporate environment, you do not want to all the latest and fanciest features shipped to you or your users, but you might want to check them out in one of the enterprise sandboxes prior to actually rolling them out. And this is what release tracks basically allows you. Plus, Enterprise adds data residency already as a built-in feature, whereas the other offerings have this either in the current model where basically the user data will be at the location closest to you, which means that if the majority of the users are European-based, they might be in the EU. If the majority of the users are in the US, then they might be in the US, but you basically have no control over that, unless you opt in some early access prototype for premium or enterprise. So what does this mean in comparison to the offers that we already have seen for quite some while for server and data center? So I mean that chart, I've created that a while back to compare server and data center features with all the different offerings. At the time, we only had like 3 columns for on-prem managed service and Atlassian Standard Cloud. And with the recent addition of Atlassian Enterprise Cloud, there are certain features that we want to highlight. So for one, I've briefly spoken about the SLAs. So you get committed SLAs. Atlassian has also improved vastly on the admin permissions. So basically, with Enterprise, you get full control or nearly full control over administrative functionalities in comparison to the standard and premium plans. There's also things like custom URLs, which are still planned, but will definitely come for premium and for enterprise. Atlassian once again increased the user limit. So with Atlassian Enterprise, you get unlimited users, whereas with standard and premium, you're limited in the number of users that you can actually have on your site. And one of the other features that most of our customers requested is having some sort of test staging instances to either test certain add-ons or deploy functionality prior to actually rolling them out to production. And this will come with either Cloud Sandbox for the premium plan or Enterprise Sandbox access. So what has changed in terms of compliance and trust? So Atlassian has set up a platform on atlassian.com/trust, which basically outlines all the current state of Atlassian's commitment towards getting the cloud as compliant and secure for everyone, which means that mostly speaking to European customers, GDPR still is an issue. And the standard data processing agreement that Atlassian allows you to sign as a German or European customer might have blanks depending on how strict your data processing officer is. So this is something you might want to navigate because in addition to the standard DPA, this trust and compliance center basically gives you access to all the additional compliance and standards that Atlassian has been certified for. So for example, you get all the documents for SOC 2 and SOC 3 compliance, as well as ISO compliance, which in addition to the technical and organizational measures that are part of the DPA also include a wide array of additional technical and organizational specifications of how the cloud is set up and how certain features in the cloud work. So for example, like if you browse the documents that are available there, you will also see how the cloud is set up on a technical level, giving you some insights of how Atlassian is operating their Jira and Confluence cloud stacks at scale as they're currently doing. One of the major pain points, because I guess the majority of customers and users that we're talking to on a daily or weekly basis is they do not start from scratch, meaning that there is always something that you want to migrate. And this really depends on where you're actually coming from. So either if let's say you have a single server instance that you want to move to cloud, or if there's already, let's say, different usage domains in your Atlassian instance that you want to split out to multiple cloud sites, or if you can't go that fast and then if you want to migrate project by project. Or, and this is what we're seeing mostly, there's a lot of hidden shadow IT scattered throughout the organization. So you might want to take that cloud migration as the perfect point in time to actually consolidate. And in terms of timeline, so basically you shouldn't rush, because like a migration project towards the cloud always has the big advantage that you actually can clean up and actually introduce some governance and get rid of blasts from the past and let's say hygienic issues of your current installation. So basically, if you're looking at the different phases of a migration, you should basically decide on how you want to move to the cloud, like what is actually your main goal by moving to one of the Atlassian native cloud offerings. You need to prep in terms of what data do you actually want to migrate, what state is that in, how long will the migration take, plan for the migration day actually involving the Atlassian support team, which also added a weekend support a while ago for migration. So basically there's someone on standby helping you. And what we've seen in practice for the majority of our customers moving to the cloud is that there's still a very, let's say, a very large unknown space when it comes to app usage. And Atlassian has introduced so-called Jira migration assistance for Jira. It's nearly released, and for Confluence it's already released. And in your existing server installations, depending on the version that you have deployed currently, you can already access the migration assistant and see what apps you currently use on your server installation or data center installation. And if there is a, let's say, a snap-in replacement on cloud, or if there's something that, that you might want to actually either commit to in terms of migrate the data over by involving one of the actual add-on vendors of one of the apps, or if this is something that that basically is an app that you're not using anyways, that you might want to get rid of in terms of migrating, which is also a good idea of getting some proper spring cleaning in there. So ideally, if you can already clean up your instance prior to migrating it to the cloud, then it's a good idea to do this beforehand. So the less you migrate, the lesser issues you might have actually during the migration. So consolidating all the different schemes, groups, users, and usage in terms of projects might also be something that you might want to look at while moving towards the cloud offerings. Next point is costs. So I've seen a lot of charts basically comparing cloud to server costs, and if you actually look at the pure license costs, it is more expensive, definitely. But if you look at something like the total cost of ownership, whereas you not only have administration and subscription fees for your cloud license, but also take into consideration that if you want to manage the stack yourself and not get it in some sort of managed hosting offering where you basically have, let's say, plannable costs, there's a lot of hidden or sunk costs in operating the stack yourself, which means you have to factor in all the different efforts that you personally as an organization have to invest to handle change management, get security, privacy right, and this is especially important because there's a lot of CVEs and security incidents that you might want to get fixed fast by rolling out patches or upgrading certain add-ons. So this is something that you need to consider while comparing not just the license price, but also taking into consideration that there's more to that. So basically what Atlassian has been doing in terms of pricing for the cloud is that they added like this free license model to just like try out certain things. There's also extended cloud trials, which allow you to test out the cloud offering for a longer and extended period of time, especially if you are already an Atlassian customer. You can get discount for your unused server maintenance if you have a valid maintenance subscription for your Atlassian Jira Confluence license. Then there's loyalty discounts for larger migrations. So if you're migrating over more than 1,000 users, there's a 55% discount that Atlassian is giving you. And if you belong to the domain of academic or community customers, same as for the server licenses, you will get these licenses for free on cloud as well, or discounted depending on what kind of organization you are. So that was basically a very quick jump through the different license offerings and deployment models that Atlassian is offering. So if you have questions, please use the Q&A box. Otherwise, I hope you enjoy today's talk as much as I do. Okay, so then thank you very much for joining today, and I'll hope you also join in on Monday after the weekend. On Monday, the Atlassian User Group Berlin, or Atlassian Community Event Berlin, as it is called nowadays, will have a talk about Obsgeny, not at our ordinary 4 o'clock window. But this is happening at 6 o'clock in the evening, and it will be by Atlassian itself, introducing you to Obsgeny. So I'm more than happy to see you over there, and we'll start again with our series of events on Tuesday. Thank you very much, and take care.